Hey guys, Madisyn Churilla here with Horse Training by Madisyn. Today I want to talk about my weekend and the horse show I went to because I know a lot of people can relate with me when their horse show or their barrel race, their rodeo doesn't quite go as planned. So I want to talk about that a little bit and how we keep our confidence up and how we can use our failures just to work harder. So I recently kind of changed up my game plan. I started writing everything down. I made a pre-weekend kind of goal list and wrote out even a post one that I was going to fill out. I made it so that I'd have write every run down and take notes, what my time was, what I should have done, what I could work on, what I did well. I started doing all of that, and I have never done that before. I've never put that much energy into preparing for a horse show. It wasn't a jackpot where money was on the line. There wasn't a buckle on the line. It's a gaming show where you basically enter and try to qualify for interstate. So you try to make a really fast average run. So you can have basically all year to try to qualify for this. So it was really bizarre for me to take a horse show like this where there's no buckle in the end game. There's making it to interstate, but I have a lot of time, so a lot of people will just kind of treat these as a play day, a fun day to go test out young horses, which I love to do. But I wanted to treat it very serious, and I wanted to clock my horses. I haven't clocked them in a while, so I was like, okay, I'm going to put a lot of energy into this. I went out the night before and got all my hay bags ready and all my tack ready. I made all my reins. I did everything that I usually don't do. I just put in the extra energy, and I felt really good about it. I was really excited. I was so excited to almost a little bit nervous, and I don't really get nervous before these horse shows very often. So it was a little bit different for me. But when I did get there, I was feeling a little bit nervous because I used to compete heavily. I would go every single weekend when I was really young, when I was probably about 13, 14, 15. And I would make it to interstate. I was doing just incredibly well on my little horse. And then I started doing the OSET team, and I played basketball and volleyball. And so I stopped going to WHO, and I started committing myself more to buckle series and stuff like that, which I loved. But now my next goal is to make it to interstate this season. So I started going again, and there are amazing riders at these WHO shows, which stands for Western Horsemen of Oregon. And at Interstate, we go compete with Washington. So their top 10 in every event comes, or maybe top 5. Top 10 or 5. They take either 10 or 5 from both states, and then we come compete against each other. So it's pretty cool, and it's basically the best of the best out of Oregon and Washington for these gaming events. Like, if you don't know what gaming is, it's gymkhana speed events. It's like barrels and pole bending, but we have a couple more fun events. So I was really nervous because I'm like, all these people remember me when I was 15 or 14 running times that I barely can run now, which is interesting to think about. And I still have my little pony, that my first horse that I ever bought, that I've ever owned. She is still my main horse. I still have her. I still compete on her. She's 18 years old now, and she's running amazingly, but I was nervous. They see me post my runs on Facebook and on Instagram and all this kind of stuff, and we tend to post our better runs, the ones that we're extremely proud of on social media, and maybe not the ones where you knock all 3 barrels down or you get a no time, and that's just how it goes. We don't usually want to show off those runs. So I have my horse Lucero, as you know, and he is incredible, but the hardest horse I've ever had to train, and we're working on consistency. So I was just really nervous coming into this and what everyone would think and what they'd expect of me. But writing all the stuff down, putting the extra energy into it, made it a lot easier to know what my goals were. Not care about those other people that are there, because they don't know my journey. They don't know what I do in my practice pen. They're not there to witness all the energy. They don't know that I wrote all this stuff down. They don't know that my goal is to make it to interstate. They don't know how hard I've worked on my horse Lucero, even though he looks sometimes like he's crazy and stuff. They don't know that journey. So it was just me, and I hadn't seen these people for a long time, and I felt intimidated. And I was like, why do I feel that way? Like, These people are great. I used to compete with them when I was 13. I beat them on my 13.1 hand pony when I was 13 years old. These grown women on these big full, and men actually. There's a lot of men that do these events as well, but I would beat all of them on my little pony. What am I so worried about? And it's not even about beating them for me. It was about making it to interstate, competing against myself, my own average times. But I was just I could not get over that. So then I just quieted down a little bit, tacked up both my horses, and tried to think about what I wanted to get done in the warm-up arena. So not just going in the warm-up arena and just kind of trotting around both ways, getting both leads loosened up and all that kind of stuff. I wanted to have a purpose, get in, get out, so I'm just focusing on it. I'm not kind of farting around, you know. So I did that with both my horses. Both my horses warmed up really nice. And the first event was barrels, and that is what Lucero, that's kind of what I'm trying to make him really excel at. So going into barrels, I was a little bit nervous because I really wanted to do well in front of these people. And so then I had to sit there and remind myself, it's not about proving to these other people. I wrote down my why. Fallon Taylor has said that if you write down your why and you know what your purpose is, it helps you achieve all of your goals so much faster. And there is so much truth to that, because then you know what your purpose is, and you can break it down and you can figure out how you can get there. Writing things down is just great. It makes it a little bit more real, and it holds you accountable a little bit. So I wrote down my why. Why do I want to become a 1D barrel racer? And I wrote, because I want to prove that I can. I want to prove to myself that I can and that I'm good enough, because I've had doubts. I have Mitzi, my pony, that I have done so well on. She's my wonder pony. And I've had other horses do well, but not as good as her. So I want to prove to myself that I am a good enough trainer to train another Mitzi and be a 1D rider, that I'm not a one pony wonder, which I know I'm not. I know that I'm not, but those are the crazy thoughts that go through my head. So I had to stop, slow down, and just remember, this is about me. This is about learning. So then I went on to make some good runs on my little pony Mitzi, and Lucero could be a phenomenal pole horse. He is a phenomenal pole horse, but I'm talking 19-second runs, and that has been the hardest event because he's such a forward horse. I lose control, and sometimes we skip a pole, and he's been doing poles for probably 2.5 to maybe even 3 years now, and that's a little bit embarrassing. The weekend before, I ran a 23, super clean, really pretty. I held him back a little bit, but I wanted to have a clean run. So this weekend I said, okay, and I've been practicing all week leading up to this. I'm going to kick it into high gear a little bit, let him go, and let's see if this horse can lay down a really nice run. And I let him go, and he blew out his first turn. I didn't even make my first weave. He reared straight up. And I got a no time, my first run. I didn't even make it all the way through the pattern. I just trotted the rest of the pattern. Once I got him to calm down a little bit, it was really embarrassing. And everybody was standing there or staring at me when I was doing this, but I just kept my cool, went back, got off, loosened his cinch, petted him on the neck so he knew, I'm not going to beat on him or anything. We're still both learning. And I knew I had another run to make. I went to go make another run. Had a really good first turn, weaved all the way down, super great. I was feeling good. Went to go make that second end pull, didn't finish it. Got another no time. And, I felt really discouraged. I wanted to pack up and I wanted to go home. I was like, really, after all the energy I put into this weekend, planning it out, writing my stuff down, having a plan, like everything, and for this to happen, I just was like, why would someone want to take my advice when I can't train my own horse? Why would people like my photos on my training Instagram if they see that this is what my horse, all those crazy thoughts were going through my head. But then I remembered, it's not about them. I do have good things to offer. I'm still learning. I'm still learning tons every single day. And I know that I'm a good rider. I know that I can train him. We're just struggling when we found this new gear. But I didn't let that get to me. I didn't let those two no times get to me. I had kind of a rough couple minutes after, and I was a little bit bummed out, but I bounced back. I just said, you know what? That just means I need to work harder. Now I have something to write down on my notes list, and we'll go back to the practice pen, and with this new added speed, now I know what I need to work on. I didn't let it ruin the rest of my day. and I ended up winning in the keyhole and making a qualifying run, my first WHO show back in years. And I made a qualifying run on my horse Mitzi, and I believe maybe in another event on her, so that was exciting. I didn't let it get me down, and I knew I had to compete the next day, so I had another day, so I was excited about that. I was excited that I made these mistakes today, and I knew that I had a chance to try to go correct those the next day. And when polls came up that day again, I was pretty, like, okay, we're gonna do this, we're gonna have a clean run. That's what I want, I want a time. So I go down there, I'm riding really square into my turn, and I get a little bit scared because he comes in so hard to the turns, and I just braced up against him, and he went completely down. I fell off, he rolled and completely fell down on his side, and got back up, brushed the dirt off, made sure my horse was okay, and went to go make another run. 20 minutes later after that, I didn't let that fall scare me. I knew that it wasn't the ground. I knew it wasn't just his clumsiness. I knew it was because I got scared, I braced against the bit, and he couldn't have his balance. It was rider and training error. So now I know that this whole week I'm going to practice that, but I didn't let that fall scare me. I wasn't like, let's scratch. As long as my horse was okay, I knew that I needed to make that next run so that I wasn't going to be scared and my horse wasn't going to be scared. And so I made a really, really solid, nice breeze through on poles, and I called it good. I got off, I uncinched him, brought him back to the trailer, and really praised him, gave him some treats and water and stuff. So when bad things happen, don't let that tear you down. Don't let those crazy thoughts in your head that tell you you're not good enough, or that tell you I'll never be what I want to be, or I'll never be that 1D, I'll never have that 19-second pole horse. Don't let those crazy thoughts control your actions. You are in complete control. You get to decide how you're going to react to those things. Whether you're feeling really, really scared, really upset, really sad, you get to choose how you react to those. You can choose how to think about it. You have complete power, and it's almost liberating and freeing knowing that you have that power to change your thinking at any time. I could have gotten really angry at Lucero after the 2 no times, which I was upset. And I felt like he should know a little bit better than to get a no time. But what I did was I just stayed on him, or I let him rest for a minute. And when I had to make that second run, I just took him and grabbed his nose a little bit. I did some training. I didn't get after him. I just did a little bit of constructive training so that I'd know maybe we could make it a little bit better in the next run. Success takes time. Nothing that is worth achieving comes easy at all. And just try to remind yourself that we are our hardest critic. One day when I come back at another WHO show here in a couple weekends, I'm going to come back and I'm going to lay down a really nice barrel run. I'm going to lay down a really nice pole run, and people are going to start asking me on Lucero to be on their team poles team. And I just know that that's going to happen because I'm not giving up. My ego, my pride is not hurt, and I don't want your guys's to get hurt either. Nobody's opinion but your own really matters. And don't be so hard on yourself. Life happens, things happen, things are difficult. And if you just constantly try to change and try to be better and try to stay open-minded, take everyone's advice. You might not agree with what they have to say, but listen. So I guess the right word would be to listen to everybody's advice, not take everybody's, because it might not be what works for you, but listen to everyone's advice. Don't be so quick to judge other people. And you'll find yourself being a lot more successful and not feeling so negative about when you do have those stumbles and you work harder. And then when it does pay off, it feels incredible. So I just want to remind you guys, we all have bad days. I'm sitting here preaching to you about my training techniques, and then I go have a two no times and I fell off this weekend. And that was a little bit hard for me because then I didn't really want to come sit here in front of you and tell you, oh, who am I to be telling them if my horse just took a fall because I was bracing on my horse and I fell off. But that's what makes me more, I think, qualified to talk to you, because it's real. It happens. I mean, I've done it all. I've done the breaking records in high school. I've done the making it to interstate and winning. I've won the buckles. I've won a trophy saddle. I've done all that stuff. But it's not always going to be like that. Sometimes it will get hard. Sometimes you will fall into the dirt. Sometimes you will hit all 3 barrels. But that is a great learning experience for you and for myself. And now sitting here, I'm able to hopefully help you guys, that when the next time you go through poles and you knock all of them down or you fall off or whatever it is, you're able to remind yourself that, hey, it happens. What can I learn from this? So that was kind of what I wanted to talk about a little bit today. I didn't have the weekend I planned on, but that's okay. Now I have this whole week to leg up my horse. I'm going to give Lucero a couple days off and stretch him. I'm going to see how he's feeling today because of the fall. I want to make sure he's not sore. He fell pretty clean, so hopefully I'll be able to work him today. I want to work my pony, build some muscle, and work even harder so I can prove to myself that I can do it. And I know I can, and I hope that you guys will stick with me through this journey.